Hey, welcome to the His and Hers Freedom Podcast, where faith, family, and freedom always come first.
We are Frank and Alyssa Williams, mom and dad to 5 beautiful children. Every week, we're going to dive into a mix of family, current events, and what it's like to hold the minority opinion in today's world. So grab whatever caffeine keeps you going.
Or some pre-workout. Let's get it. Okay, welcome back. Episode 7. We've got somebody special joining us today, a leader in Homeland Security, emergency management, disaster response. He's just got back from a 2-week international assignment in Qatar. We're going to talk about that. Most of us have no idea that these things are going on. We're so excited to have you here, Jason Millsaps. Thank you for everything you've done for us up to this point. We appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, sir. And so I named off 3 things there, but you wear many hats, it sounds like, with the county. So it's kind of dive into that.
It's an interesting job. You know, I've worked for Judge Keogh for a little over 13 years. I've been his chief of staff for 13 years. February of 2020, he decided he wanted a more direct approach on how Homeland Security Emergency Management in Montgomery County was operating. At that time, we had a director that reported to the chief of staff and the judge. And so he said, no, I want you to be more hands-on and not indirect. And so he appointed me as the emergency manager over that department as well. So I wear 2 hats. I'm the chief of staff and the emergency manager for the county. And you know, I'm always dressed in emergency manager role. I can never go in the office in a suit anymore because I leave to go to a fire or some emergency happens, and I don't want to ruin my clothes. So I'm always in this mode. I'm not in professional chief of staff mode anymore. But you know, the day he did that was February 2020. That's significant because March 13th of 2020, we had our first COVID patient, and emergency management forever changed in how it operates. So I had just a few weeks on the job in that role,
and then COVID hit.
It really got crazy. And so, and here we are a little over 5 years later, I'm still in it, wearing the hat in both roles. And so loving life, but I get less sleep these days.
Yeah, I bet. Yes, sir.
And I will say, Jason gave myself and our daughter do you call it the Costco for?
Yeah, we call it Costco for emergency management. It's a 68,000 square foot warehouse that's here with us. And in the county, we're actually the only county in the country with one this size.
Impeccable. Also extremely clean. You could eat off the floors. I mean, and it's gorgeous. I can't wait for Frank to go in because he's all about, we have a shop in Oklahoma and manufacturing facility in Oklahoma, and he's always on the guys about clean up. When you see that, you're going to go straight back to Oklahoma and be like, you guys need to get to work.
Look at these pictures.
You know, we take pride in everything we have. You know, this vehicle we're in, this beautiful mobile operations center that we're sitting in right now is less than a year old. It'll be a year old next January, or coming up January. But one of our apparatuses in there is our ambulance, our mass casualty ambulance that you'll see later. And it's 3.5 years old, and it's showroom quality clean. It gets cleaned every time it leaves and comes back, detailed inside and out, sanitized. The shop's the same way. The guys that work for us here at OEM, they take pride in their work, and they enjoy their work. It's rewarding, and at the same time, it's challenging. But the number one thing that we get told everywhere we go is, man, you guys have the best looking stuff. It's not that we have expensive stuff, because we're very frugal. It's because we take care of it. It looks brand new.
So just jumping right in, we're just going to be asking Jason some questions about kind of what goes on behind the scenes that regular civilians like Frank and I or our listeners don't know anything about. And our first experience with the MOC.
Yeah, that's a Mobile Operations Center, so MOC for short. Yeah.
Our first experience with that and our first introduction to you obviously happened when we put together the Charlie Kirk vigil in less than 5 days. And then we had, how many people would you say were?
A couple hundred, more, close to 350 probably.
Yeah.
It was a good crowd.
Yeah, good crowd. Yeah. We didn't know what to expect, but I was given Jason's contact and you guys just jumped right in. You asked all the right questions. You said, hey, we got you. We're going to protect you from all sides. Because, hosting something like that was very nerve wracking. We didn't even have our kids there because we were worried about, something crazy happening. And looking back, as soon as we got home that night, I said, man, I wish we would have brought the kids because we were so safe. We were so protected. And there was not a moment where we felt if something were to happen, you guys had it under control for sure.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately, watching what occurred to happen to Charlie in that assassination was gut wrenching for us because we're trained in what to look for and how to have these types of events, not just in my office at OEM, but in the sheriff's office and our constables agencies. It's not our first time to host a dignitary. So watching that on TV, and most of us watched it live because we were tuned in and seeing this, is similar to what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania last year when President Trump was shot at. We were activated for a hurricane then, and we were in our emergency operations center watching multiple things go on in the county, but we had in the corner, we had Fox News on and Trump was on. So the audio was down so we could communicate. But that distinctive gunshot sound was known to us. We heard it. And immediately we pulled the map up and were able to look at the layout of where they were. And we had this crime solved before they'd even made news because we could see. 4 years ago, President Trump was here and held a rally in Montgomery County, 85,000 attendees.
yeah,
And we didn't have a single problem. And I've joked since then, and we can joke about that one because he fortunately was spared. But, sloped roofs and all, where we hosted that rally, we have roofs, we have the fairgrounds, we have many outbuildings there, we have a water tower, houses around there. We had all that covered.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that it was the Secret Service's job. It was our job to make sure the surrounding community around that rally was secured, not only for those inside, but to keep the others safe as well.
yeah.
So we took the same approach when the call came in that you guys were putting on that rally and vigil for Charlie Kirk. It was special, not only to Commissioner Gray, but Judge Keogh and others, and to really want to help. They felt like this was what the community was asking for, something where we can all get together and just share how we feel. It's how we get over these things and grow.
Yep.
And so he's, whatever you got to do, Jason, just take care of it.
Yeah.
And immediately called Constable Hayden, and he was already working with his team. And so we started integrating plans and coordinating resources so we don't step on each other's toes. But we're fortunate in Montgomery County. We don't really step on each other's toes. We work really well together. So it was a remarkable thing. Everything, all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed, and everybody was doing a really good job. And to see it come together, it's what's rewarding about the job is we do about 40 or 50 mass gathering events a year from this office, very similar to what you guys experienced. And so it's very easy for us to rinse and repeat and just change it up a little bit. But to see that so quickly come together, and with the threat that was there and people were concerned, I mean, I'm not going to lie, Judge Keogh, Commissioner Gray, yourselves all spoke, and everybody was concerned. And our safety briefing ahead of time, we let them know, we've got you covered.
Yeah.
And every inch of that area was covered, top to bottom.
Oh, man.
We had aerial support. So
we were the safest people in Texas for sure. I felt like
and nothing bad's going to happen.
No.
And it's not just for those speaking, but the attendees. Imagine if something was to happen. We host the Woodlands Pavilion hosts 30 plus concerts a year with 16,000 attendees. A prime opportunity for an attack. We plan for these things, and we monitor it. We assist them to make everybody safe. And that maintains Montgomery County's reputation for public safety, and that's what we're known for. So we really work hard at that.
Which kind of segues into your Montgomery County's reputation for public safety and your trip to Qatar. You guys were asked to come there because of your reputation. So if you want to go right into that and maybe share a little bit.
Yeah. So we have a great relationship with our local State Department counterparts. Houston's a really unique city where it's the fourth largest city in America, but it's also the fourth largest congregation of consulates in the world. So you've got DC and New York and Miami, and then Houston. And so there's, I think, 85 missions here for foreign nations that have consulates in the Houston region. So the State Department has a large office here, and a large security office, which is their Department of State Security Services, the DSS. And so we've have worked with them over the last few years and built a great relationship with them and assisting them in their mission with stuff like this, the Mobile Operations Center, the AMBUS, giving them logistic support for large events that their dignitaries are traveling to and from. And over that time, they've got to see us in action. We've got to see them in action. So the Qataris sent out a request for an American delegation to come and participate in their national exercises they do every year. 4 years ago, they hosted the World Cup in 2022. And in preparation for hosting, they designed these world exercises to kind of test their response capabilities. And they decided they were successful and they liked them, that they wanted to keep doing them. So since then, they've run them every year. They do it in November because it's cooler there. And so they wanted an American delegation to come. Why? We're hosting here in America part of the FIFA World Cup in 2026. Houston is one of those host cities. In fact, today they're doing the FIFA World Cup draw. So we'll find out what teams we're going to see here in Houston here in just a little bit. So it's an exciting time across the soccer world.
Yeah.
And so Qatar was like, we would like them to come out and we're going to help us help. We want to learn from you and we want you to learn from us during our exercises. But while we're here, we're going to data dump into FIFA and how it was successful in Qatar. And they really have a great reputation. They ran a fantastic World Cup without any problems. And so they got a reputation now for being able to handle major sports events. 3+ million visitors for World Cup in a 40-day span is a remarkable amount. And so they've got a great reputation, and we were honored to be asked. We're the only emergency management agency in the country that got asked to go.
That's incredible.
And so it was, for us, a great opportunity to really get to see behind the scenes at those events. While we won't have a hands-on direct responsibility for Houston's World Cup, we're ancillary partners with Houston. We're going to provide mutual aid with them and anything that Houston and Harris County need to make World Cup successful in the region. And we're likely to see visitors here staying in our hotels in Montgomery County, renting Airbnbs here because there's not enough hotel space for everybody.
Yeah.
And so we know we're going to have to work together and integrate with them. So this gave us an opportunity. And unfortunately, there's only so many people could go. So we were ourselves and Miami Sheriff's Department, Foxborough for Massachusetts Police Department, and the Massachusetts State Police were the American delegation that went with State Department, FBI. We all traveled in a car for 2 weeks, and man, it was an experience. They talk about having nice stuff. They have the best equipment money could buy, and they have the best training facilities money can buy, and it's super clean and very hospitable. So it was hard to come back.
Yeah.
We have nice things here, but they have really nice things.
Yeah,
So.
and you mentioned earlier they treat you like royalty there.
Yes, they were very hospitable. The county had no expenses. The employees, obviously, our time was based on county salaries, but the flights there, the hotel, the food, everything that we enjoyed while we were there, and all the training that we learned was no expense to the county. I've been to trainings like that here in the States, and they cost 20 or 30 grand for a 2-week trip. And so it was worth every penny of what the county did have to contribute on our salaries to go. But
Definitely.
we took 4 people from the office, and we were able to really contribute with their mission and learn a lot. And thankfully, because of FIFA there, they have a lot of emergency management integrated stuff. It's not quite like how we do it here, but very similar. And it was really good to see them in action and how they operated. So exciting times.
That's awesome. So can you get down into the weeds? Like when your team, your boots hit the ground, what are you guys doing from day one?
Yeah, so our first day there, when we left on a Friday evening here and arrived Saturday evening there, it's a long flight. Their work week is Sunday through Wednesday. Thursday, Friday's their Saturday, Sunday there. And so we arrived late Saturday evening, which meant Sunday's a work day. And they're like, don't worry about it. We'll let you guys acclimate and get used to the jet lag. And so we had a quick mission meeting with all the delegations. So we had a little bit of work to do that first day. But other than that, we really got into just getting to know everybody that traveled with us. The Houston folks, for us, Montgomery County, we know everybody, but we didn't know the Miami folks and the Foxborough folks and the Mass State Police guys or the FBI guys. So just spend a day building camaraderie with those guys and going and touring, getting to see the city and see the country, and then get some sleep because they made us stay up, forced the jet lag out of us. But that next morning, that first Monday, we were the Internal Security Forces office. They call themselves LaQuia, and it's internal security forces, and talk about the nicest place on the planet. It's marble floors. It's
Wow.
gorgeous.
Mm.
And we walk in, we have a complete briefing with their entire delegation, their officers. The Minister of the Interior for the country came in and enjoyed the briefing with us. And then we broke up into our various groups based on our disciplines. And that first week was tabletop planning and exercises. So the training drills that they ran were in week 2. The week 1 was to plan those exercises and to ensure that every facet of their security team was participating at some level in each exercise. And then how would we integrate into that exercise? What expertise did we bring? Were we observing, or were we participating? Or in some cases, were we in command and control of that exercise and they were taking cues off of us?
Mm-hmm.
So we did that the first week, did a lot of data dump and tabletop stuff. And then second week, another round of delegates came from the American cities, all the employees that worked for the embassy in Doha. But so second week was hands-on exercise where they really roll out the red carpet and it's set up a disaster plan. We do them here too. We do countywide mass casualty incident training exercises. The fire department's training every day, the law enforcement trains, everyone's training. We never stop training. We do them quite often. There, they do it on a big scale. They had 12,000 Qatari participants, from
Wow.
first responder types to their military types to their security forces, their command and control. And then they had, we would call them volunteers, but they were employees that would actually come in and act as bad guys or victims, and they had roles to play. We do the same thing here, except when they do something, they actually allow a minor explosion and things fall from the ceiling, and they have no problem destroying a building because they're going to rebuild it anyway for them to. So it was very realistic. And we do some of that realistic training out in New Caney. Actually, we have the Montgomery County Reality Based Training Center, which is realistic as it can get. And they take it to a whole new level. So,
Yeah.
and they have an infrastructure there that's brand new. So if they tear something up, they just rebuild it, and they can afford those things. So it really gives them really nice training that we don't get to see here, but it made for some really interesting integration for us because it felt real. It looked real.
Okay, so for people who don't understand how these collaborations even come to be, why would Qatar invite Montgomery County's team? What does that relationship look like behind the scenes? And we kind of touched on that a little bit already, but
So I can tell you how it was explained to me. The Qataris said, look, as the Qataris worked on putting this together, they really didn't select on their own. They went to the State Department and said, look, this is what we're doing. This is what we'd like to do. Do you have partners that would benefit from this? And part of the mission was to work on World Cup stuff. And so, yes, because of our proximity to Houston and our hands-on with that next year, we were on the short list. I think what really propelled us to get the invite was that we have that developed relationship with the State Department. They know how we operate. They can't say that for everybody in the region. They don't. They're either too busy or they don't participate. And that goes back to multiple administrations. We're a bipartisan office. I don't care who the president is. We're going to work with our federal partners. And so we've been working with State Department as long as I can remember, and anything they need. And so we have a reputation. And then I do know the Qataris did say we would love someone from Texas to come. Texas, we have a reputation. In the emergency management sphere, Texas is very good at what we do, not just at the county level, but at the state level. And so we're kind of on the cutting edge of that. If FEMA could act as well as TDM, which is the Texas Division of Emergency Management, or even like Montgomery County, we wouldn't have a problem nationwide. FEMA is very bureaucratic and cumbersome, but we're not. And so I think our reputation precedes us. And so that made it easy for the State Department to say, they want someone from Texas. We have a Texas partner. Let's get Montgomery County to go. We had opportunity to take up to 13 people, but being gone that long, we have to make sure we're still protected at home.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we couldn't take as many as we were allowed.
What stood out the most about how they operate, and is it different than how we operate?
It is to some degree, but Qatar's been a non-NATO ally for some time, and so there's a lot of their security forces commanders that have been to the United States for hands-on training.
I was gonna ask what kind of led you into this, I guess your background here and your job now. Was there a moment where you were like, okay, this is what I want to do, and you went for it, or did it just kind of happen upon you?
It did.
Yeah.
So I mean, starting out with the judge as his chief of staff was because I worked on his campaign when he was running for state legislature years ago. So I had run a campaign in another state race, and we were introduced, and he started asking advice, questions, and policy issues, and we became close friends. And he won and asked if I would come with him to Austin. And I thought he was crazy, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. And he said, "Oh, look, I prayed about it, and you keep coming up in my prayer, so you got to go." And so I went with him to Austin. It was a single honor of a lifetime to go work in Austin for a few years as a chief of staff in the legislature, and decided to run for county judge. And, he won, and here I
That's
came
awesome.
back to the county, and a year into our term, well, really 9 months. He came in January of 2019. In September of 2019, we had a tropical storm Imelda. So on the
Yep.
east side of the county, we got 30 plus inches of rain, and we had our first instance of flood. And so the emergency management office was hard at work, and it was a smaller office then with none of the resources we have today. Nobody really knew it existed. And so we got through that. And then shortly after, he said, "I want you to take more hands-on approach with them." And I never expected that. I'm an administrator. I was a business owner and a business manager and worked on campaigns. So I understood government and how to administrate and legislate things. So chief of staff was perfect role. But to take a hands-on approach in the emergency management role, the most experience I had prior to that was I was a volunteer fireman, and I was an EMT, and I didn't do that at all full time, so I had very little experience with it, but I understood it. And the partners to know that the judge's office, who's constitutionally responsible for public safety, who's constitutionally responsible for emergency management, was was directly involved because his chief of staff was the guy he appointed to take
Right.
this role.
Yeah.
And it worked very well. And I've gone to fire academy since, and I still maintain my EMT license, integrating with our law enforcement. I'm not a cop, and I don't think I ever want to go to police academy. That's a challenging job, a rewarding career for those guys, and I love those guys. But I much rather sit back and observe and give them the tools they need to succeed, and help them and take a load off their shoulders. And the best relationship with our constables and our sheriff's office, better than it's ever been. Prior to my arrival, there wasn't much of that, and so we've got that back on track, and we're working together. Sheriff's office and our office developed an active shooter threat school out in East County. You told me, but it's right there at 1488, 1485 and 59, the old middle school. And we took that campus over 2.5 years ago and started training internally how to prepare for active shooter, not just at school, but anywhere.
Hmm.
And we mandated it. Our county was very forward and said, we got to train on this years ago. And so we mandated the training. We've been doing it internally. And then Uvalde happened. And we were like, we need to train our neighbors, let's get them involved in this. The state has now mandated this training. So now every officer in
wow.
Texas has to take this training every 2 years. And when they started to go down that path of maintaining that or mandating that training, we were already doing this training. The judge said, "Jason, let's go back to Austin, and let's see if the state will partner with us on this project and we can expand it." And so proof of concept was done already. The building had been vacated for a while. It had no power, no air conditioning. So we were doing some limp along stuff to use pieces of the building. We go to Austin, and we're successful at securing state funding to allow us to buy the facility and renovate it back to normal. And now we've trained about 8,400 law enforcement,
Wow.
first responders,
That's
fire and
amazing.
EMS guys in there from all over the country, but a lot from Texas that have come through there since we've started the project, and now with state funding. And it's because of that, the sheriff's office provides the training. They're the ones with the hands-on with the officers and the first responders. And our office is like Motel 6. We keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Right.
We run the facility. We're doing the project, getting the construction done, and we're keeping the schedule, keeping the place full of students. And I call them students, but they're all cops and
Right.
firemen. But keeping the students full and expanding our training capabilities so we can do new things. Just this week, we took possession of some breaching walls that allow us to basically use the gym as a layout of a house or a hotel or
Oh,
something. And
cool.
as you come in and enter and clear the room, and you take care of the bad guy and you talk about it. While we're talking about it, I can move the walls around and make the rooms different. So when they come back and run another scenario, there's no muscle memory. It's another office, it's another building, another scenario. So we just took possession of that. It's a Canadian product, and so we'll have it set up by next week for first use. We're finishing the breaching house right now out back, and they're actually shooting in that facility with simunition rounds. If you've ever seen those, it looks like a Glock. It feels like a Glock. It shoots basically a paintball, but it's a soap pellet. So it stings, and so it sounds like a gun. It feels like one when you get hit. And so the bad guys and the good guys are armed, and they go around and they take care of business. I like to play the bad guy. And so I've got some scars from getting hit, but it's a great opportunity to work with those guys and build teamwork as well. But it's realistic. That's why we call it the reality-based training center. So long story, but the relationships with our county partners, and you saw that at the truck visual, how we just came in and we're no toes stepping on.
Everybody knows where to go. Everybody knows what their job is, and everybody has each other's.
We're blessed.
Yes.
And not blessed with the best first responders. The judge says it all the time. We're blessed with the best, but the elected officials are what really kicks us off, and having 5 great constables and 1 great sheriff really makes a difference.
Yes.
And where the fire departments and the EMS agency for the county all respect one another, and you won't ever see a constable or the sheriff come in and go, well, I'm elected, so I'm in charge. Never happens. We all sit at the table as a unified front. Here's the problem. Here's the solution. Now let's go implement. So it's a really good experience, and we're blessed in Montgomery County. And I go all over the country, and no one has it. No one sees it.
That's amazing. When you guys can come together like that, come up with a solution rather than just, I'm in charge. Here's what we're going to do. No, that makes sense.
This started under a previous sheriff, and he didn't have a problem with us moving forward. And the new sheriff took it like it was a project and said, we're going to make it even better. And so how do you take something that was already working great, make it better?
Yeah.
New sheriff.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah.
So, he comes in, and I mean, he really had some ideas that not even us had thought about it. So it really upped it. So I want the state to come in with us one more time and partner on another infrastructure project, and let me take one of the remaining buildings that's there and turn it into a dormitory, so we can let those guys stay on campus free. And not have to worry about hotel costs. So now there's no barrier to training.
Yes.
And so that is our next mission. That's about a $2 million ask. It takes about $5 million to operate it for a 2-year period, based on the employees that are there and the utilities and things like that. So it's extremely inexpensive in the scheme of things, because Texas wanted to build one exactly like this for about $1 billion. And it would cost probably 50 to build it in Montgomery County, this same campus, because schools today are about 50 million for that size school. That's ridiculous. I mean, the whole project, we're not even 20 million into it at this point. We had to buy it and renovate it. And that includes the last 3 years of employee costs and operational costs too, and the equipment and the guns and the sim rounds and everything. So we're very frugal here with the state's money, very frugal with our own money. And man, we're 100% now. All of our guys are trained.
Training in the most realistic way has got to be helpful, because when you're in a training facility, you're in a training facility, you're not getting hit. There's no pain. There's no adrenaline rush. And so the guys coming out of there have got to be trained. And
remarkably in that regard, as this develops, you see these guys have to really learn hands-on. One of the key points to point out how different things are when you train reality-based versus just pretending. Uvalde occurred in Texas, and alert, they call it alert, active law or attack law enforcement rapid response. And these guys have been training in it for a few years. This curriculum's been around for a while. It's been recognized since about 2014 as the national standard by the federal government, but getting it done has been a challenge, and Montgomery County mandated it. You got to do it. So we've been working towards that for 5+ years. Before Uvalde happened, we mandated it. When the state made that mandate, it changed things for a little bit. But what really occurred, you watch Uvalde, some of those employees there in Uvalde had been through this class. Some had not. Most had not. Even the troopers and the other responding agencies had not been through that yet. Wasn't mandated yet. Wasn't a necessity, so to speak. And you can kind of see that. And then unfortunately, but fortunately for our project, but unfortunately for human life, we had the shooting in Nashville. and the officers and their response and in the door and bad guy down in 3 minutes and their movements in that building were done because they all went through this training, this curriculum, this training, and night and day difference.
Yeah.
Tell of two signs, right? So it was easy to go to the legislature and say, here's what happens when you're not trained, and here's what happens when you are.
Right.
Both still had lives lost, but one had a lot less lives lost because they were so quickly on point.
Yes.
And Uvalde was complete opposite. Uvalde also changed the curriculum to where we don't just go in and neutralize the bad guy and then let the fire department and the EMS guys come in and triage. Officers are going to stop and triage the wounded. And if it takes more officers to keep moving forward till we catch the bad guy, that's what they do, whatever they've got to do to neutralize the threat and stop the dying. Yeah. And so they're trained on that. Another bad problem with Uvalde, no one took charge. And so that curriculum changed where everyone's in charge when they get there. You're the first guy there, you're in charge until someone over you comes in and takes over from you. Somebody's in charge. And so they're taught that in training now, how to integrate. Fire departments do it so much better when it comes to command because they operate everything they do under command. They go to the bathroom under command. It's amazing. They follow the National Incident Management System so well. Law enforcement, these guys are solo. They're out on their own.
Right.
And so I don't need to take charge of this call I'm at. I'm the only one here. Who am I giving a directive to?
Right.
Me? Yeah. So it's different.
Yeah.
So teaching them, hey, you may be the first one here, but there's 30 more right behind you. Somebody's got to be in charge is a new concept for them. And man, they're learning it well and doing it well.
Good.
2 days ago, we had an active attack shooting drill in Montgomery where we get to test these trainings and everybody, EMS, fire, law enforcement, and very well done. The sheriff's office puts on a great training. There's always going to be something go wrong where we can get better, and we identify that and we work at it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so it was great to see that command element take place where the officers were calling out what I see, what I need, and get that outside. Barriers today is buildings and how they're built. Our radios sometimes don't work inside. So having that officer have a staggered relay so his radio could talk to him and he could talk to him and then get it outside, that's stuff they have to learn. So we've worked on that, and it's improving dramatically, and it's making Texas and especially Montgomery County much safer.
It definitely helps, us as parents with kids in school, have peace of mind, because that's just something that you think about every single day that you drop your kid off at school. Like what if?
Don't forget, all of us have kids in school too.
Yeah.
And so it's something that, and we know the outcome of this, so we've seen it. We see bad things every day.
Right.
We don't want that for our kids. We certainly don't want it for your kids. So what do we have to do? We're all working as one to make sure everybody's safe.
Yeah.
Not just an active attack, but just everyday stuff. But those are the things you asked me, Jason, what keeps you up at night? What cyber attacks and active shooter stuff that really, bothers me because you can't plan for them. I mean, you plan for them, but you don't know they're coming. You don't know they're coming.
Yeah.
And so I get really, really worried at night when I'm, worried about a cyber attack or an active attack.
Yeah.
But what helps me sleep is the fact that we're prepared for it and we're trained for it.
Well, so the Charlie Kirk vigil, my wife wants to throw a vigil. I'm like, yeah, if you think a couple people will show up. I'm out of town. I get a text or an email, and she's like, hey, Department of Homeland Security reached out. They're sending me these drawings. Like, that's when it hit me like,
it's real. Yeah,
oh, wow. This is,
I remember you had to fly in for the event.
Yeah,
so yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about some of this stuff. I'm just thinking about we're going to all get together, but we weren't thinking about those threats. And so initially.
But when it started,
you were, but you're not trained to know what to look for. So you know it's there.
Yes.
So I remember, we get the call and you said, this is where I want to put the stage. And I said, well, can we use the stadium as a security barrier behind us? Yeah. So I only have to worry about 3 sites, not 4. And
everything
said,
you said,
whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Yes, everything you sent that drawing out, everything it just made sense. I was like, we need to do that for sure. But no, so I flew in, I got to the event an hour before. And I come in and you've got the telescoping camera out, the tethered drone out. I walk into the command center here. You guys are already like
we're watching the crowd.
Yeah, we're watching the crowd here, but I'm looking into there's somebody's vehicle right here that you guys are looking at, and a couple of cops are already out there. I mean, it was just bam, bam. So can you tell me, I mean, obviously when I rolled up and saw a trailer, I was like, man, this is this is awesome.
I will say, I'd like to say, I gave you a really hard time about this at the Charlie Kirk vigil. The only thing that it's lacking is a mirror
Yes.
in the bathroom. And I said before the podcast today, well, I'd love to do it in the MOC, but I'd love to have a mirror there. He said he did have a mirror at one point, but
they break.
It broke.
They come. It's not like a typical RV. So the worst thing happened, break glass in here and have not only a mess, but the bad luck that comes with it. So we took it off the wall. But I need to get one of those prison mirrors that they use. It's just a big piece of plastic with some reflective tint. Because it is awkward to go in the bathroom, not have a mirror in the sink. It is weird. I will say that. But we will work on that.
Yeah.
We can look past that.
We'll aspire to do better.
Yeah.
Do better. What advice would you give to somebody trying, either considering entering the field or trying to enter the field?
So it's a unique field, and there's multiple ways to get into it. You've got the college path that gets you in the door. You've got the hands-on path. You can be a law enforcement officer, firefighter, paramedic, and a lot of emergency managers across the country started in those roles and have integrated into emergency management. And then you're starting to see more emergency managers coming out of college now, and they're green peas, as we call them, because they've got none of the real world experience behind a peace officer or a firefighter, but they've got the book knowledge, and so they integrate well. It just takes longer. So there's something for everyone. The state has an emergency management academy, and through the state's agency, TDM, which is part of the Texas A&M University system. And I just saw a picture recently of their current class that they've got, and it's almost 70% female. And so young women are moving into the field, and they make really great emergency managers because their attention to detail is so much different than men.
They're good at chaos.
We may be the problem solvers and the critical thinker when it comes to engineering or mechanical stuff, but the attention to detail it's great to have both. And we're blessed at Montgomery County to have an office that's very diverse. So I have firemen, police officers, paramedics, bomb squad techs. I mean, you name it, we've got it, but we have men and women. And I'm telling you, my women, they are hard working.
Yeah.
And they are dedicated, and they are on top of it. And so if anyone who's looking to do something quick and they don't want to invest 8 years in college, 10 years in a career to get into another career, the academy that the state's agency, TDM, is putting on is they'll pay you to go to school, they'll pay you to do the academy, and you'll have a job at the end where you're going to be assigned as a county liaison officer to a county like me. You're going to come to a county and work with me on the state's mission and learn more on the job while you're moving into it. It's a very rewarding job, and no 2 days are the same. I've never had a day that's like yesterday. And that's what's great. But even better is I get to go see both the people who help all of our constituents in their worst day, and I get to go be with those constituents on their worst day and really make a difference. And so I'm not as forward on the first responder side as I could be, nor can I be, because I'm so busy. But when I have to get out on one of those scenes and it's somebody's really bad day, it means something to be able to say, the county's behind you. We're bringing the best and the brightest in to help put the fire out, help do whatever. And we have the best. I mean, we really do. So
everybody I've met in your office, and then I don't know, how many law enforcement would you say were at the vigil?
Oh, at least 40.
Yeah. At least.
We wanted to make it safe, so we put a little more on it.
Everybody was super professional, very, very nice, wanted to be there, wanted to give their time up for that.
So we don't have constables in Montgomery County that are new on the job. Constable Eason, who's fresh in his constable's role, is in his first term. He's been a peace officer 20 plus years. Constable Gable's been in the elected role for 3+ terms now. Constable Rowdy Hayden, y'all's constable, been on the job 20 plus years as the constable and probably 15 years as a cop before that. Yeah. So you've got excellent leaders, and it shows. And it shows. And that's why your interaction with the bottom guy in the department all the way to the top guy was so top notch. It's because, like the judge says, the pace the Chiefs, pace the Indians. How do I work the way I do? Because I got a great boss. Yeah. He motivates. He's supportive, but he's got a mission. The mission's to protect. And so that's how it works for us. So it's everywhere you go. And we're very lucky. Just yesterday, we had a meeting here with the State Department, at this table, and one of my guys sat right here, and he went to Florida last year. And in my mind, Florida is really good at emergency management because they have hurricanes. Not so much. Where he was at, they were not working it out right. And he ended up having to take over a lot of things that wasn't necessarily improper, but it wasn't his role as being an outsider. But he was the smartest one in the room, and they put him in charge of a lot of stuff. And he learned a lot. He got to bring those lessons back. But that's how we operate, because we can command that presence and really work together. And so couldn't imagine going anywhere else. Like if someone was to say, Jason, would you come be our emergency manager in DC or anywhere else? There's not enough money in the world to recruit me away from Montgomery County.
I love that.
Yeah.
That says something for sure. Well, man, we appreciate you. We appreciate dragging this trailer out for us, giving us the tour. Appreciate your team, everything that you guys are doing, keeping us safe. Keeping our
Absolutely.
kids safe.
Thanks for doing this, guys, and letting the public know what we do. And we support you guys. Anything you guys need to do in the future, it's one phone call away.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. We hope something you heard encouraged or challenged you.
Yeah, and if it did, share it with a friend, leave us a quick review, and keep standing for faith, family, and freedom.
See ya.